Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to format a piece of paper to turn it into a color mixing grid. A color mixing grid can be used for any material, colored pencil, watercolors, even acrylic paint, but in this video we're going to be formatting it for a watercolor study. So to mark off your lines, you're going to use a ruler, line it up along the bottom, and mark off a dot at every inch. Because we have an 8-color watercolor set, you're going to want 8 dots along the bottom. So I'm starting at the bottom, adding my 8 dots, and then moving to the top and doing the same thing. So I'm putting a dot at every inch to create some vertical lines. So once I have those dots in place along the bottom and along the top, I'm now going to use my ruler to draw the vertical lines. I'm going to go right through the dots that I've created from the bottom all the way up to the top. So as you're drawing your vertical lines, you do want to make sure that when you're finished drawing all of your verticals that you have 8 vertical columns. As a next step, I like to go back and erase any of my stray marks that I used to create my vertical lines. This will help me from being confused when I go to do my horizontal lines. In this stage, you're doing the exact same thing that you did for the verticals. However, you're measuring along the edges. So starting on the right-hand side, marking a dot at every inch. Because these are going to form our horizontal bars, we need to then go along the left side of the paper and do the same thing, 1 dot at every inch. Just as before, we're going to take our ruler and then use it as a straight edge to draw our horizontal lines. Once you have your 8 horizontal rows, you're then going to go back with an eraser and just erase out any stray marks. Now you're ready to start labeling your grid. Make sure that you have 8 vertical boxes and 8 horizontal boxes. Because we're using an 8-color watercolor set, that's how many boxes we're going to need to mix our colors. So as you can see, I opened up my paint palette to make sure I had the correct colors I'm going to need. I'm labeling each of my horizontal rows in rainbow color order. So starting with red, and then orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, and finally black. It's important that you keep this consistent from your horizontals and your verticals. So if you've done red and then orange and then yellow going down the side, you want to keep that the same across the top. So where I have rainbow order going down the side, I want to have the same rainbow order going across the top. That will make it so I'll have an intersection of boxes at a diagonal that is the pure color without any other colors mixed in. To help keep me on track of where my pure colors are going to go, I'm going to draw a diagonal line dividing my horizontals and my verticals into 2 areas. This will also be used to create more saturated colors and less saturated colors, depending on how much water I decide to add. The last step is going to be to label this with the brand name and the amount of colors used. So in this case, we're using Prang 8-color semi-moist watercolors. It's important to note the brand because every brand of watercolor or every brand of colored pencil has a different way of interacting with each other. So every time I get a new set of watercolors or a new set of colored pencils, I make one of these grids. The final stage is to separate your boxes. This is only important for watercolors. With watercolors, because you're using water to dilute the paint, if you have boxes touching, sometimes the color can run from one box into another box. And to avoid that, making about 1/4 of an inch separation keeps this from happening. So I'm just going back and drawing a double line with a little gap between, and it will separate each of my grid boxes. For colored pencils, this isn't necessary. So that wraps up this video, and thank you for watching, everybody. The next stage is the fun part, adding color.